Welcome back to the All Purpose Pod for an all purpose life, wherever you are today and however you listen to. They call me Mr. U. We thank you again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week. We're your weekly mirror check before you change the world. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, the Twitter. Download, subscribe to They Call Me Mr. U and Football Talk with Bo, wherever you get your podcasts and your YouTube channel. So we thank you again for joining us. Bo, good morning, brother. How you doing?
How you doing, man?
Fantastic. It doesn't look like I am. I'm feeling good on the inside where it counts, right?
That's right.
All right, man. There's so much stuff to go through, but I just want to chat real quick about this because it's almost time for football, man. This is going to be an all football episode today. 27 days until college football. Woo, 38 days until the NFL season kicks off. It bugs me out how sports can galvanize us and polarize us at the same time. It's amazing. Sports has an incredible quality. You can be at football parties and whatnot, eating snacks, having a good time, or in a stadium, punching each other in the face. It's just amazing how this can happen under the umbrella of sports. But I was thinking about something this weekend. You know, everybody talk about how they want something new. You know, they want a new season or a new year, New Year's resolution, or they're having a desire for new relationships, you know, new beginnings, but nothing in their routine changes. Nothing in their habits change, but they want something new. It's like, it's really a weird phenomenon. But I think that in the realm of sports, I hear so much about people who, matter of fact, even when I put the poll questions out, well, talked about the show a little bit, just talking about the predictions and everything. Everybody's team is going to do it. This year is going to be the year.
Yeah.
They're going to make it happen. My question is, maybe it should be a poll question. What's going to actually change? What's your team going to do different besides just changing personnel? We had one poll question up, and we'll talk about that shortly. But how about another one? What's going to finally take your team to the promised land? What's going to be the thing that's going to happen in your prediction that's going to take your team to the promised land? If you guys are listening in, join us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Let us know what's going to take your team to the promised land. Finally, going to take you there. The other poll question was about snacks. We're going to have football parties going to be running rampant in a matter of weeks. What's your go-to snack bowl, regardless of the sports gathering? What's the snack you have to have in your repertoire?
Man.
You must have that. If you're invited somewhere, what are you bringing?
So, generally it's always good to have some nachos, right? Because it's one of those things you can kind of slow eat through the game, right? But yeah, so I usually try and, especially for like Monday Night Football, at least a couple of times during the season, I'll do some like brisket nachos.
Wow. You're a next level, man. Brisket nachos. All right. I love hearing that, man. We got a lot of responses so far. We heard stuff. We have one comment that was dropped last night. Fried pickles.
Okay.
That's Cynthia's go-to. We heard chips and salsa. We heard, what's what I heard? Somebody said pizza and hamburger. I'm like, really? That one kind of surprised me. Pizza and hamburgers.
It makes sense because you order that in, you don't have to do much. Hamburgers, that one's a little bit of a surprise because you're probably going to miss part of the game.
I'm surprised because in all the sports gatherings I've been to, I never saw pizza.
Oh yeah.
That's only thing one. Okay, correction. One time I was invited to a Super Bowl party. This is when the Patriots were playing the Falcons.
Okay.
Almost the entire sports party left because the Patriots were down, I think 23.
Oh yeah.
What quarter they were in. Everybody went home.
Yeah.
On my drive home, I live 7 minutes from the place I was at. On my drive home with the radio on, you start hearing the comeback. I'm like, oh no. You letting Tom Brady back into this game.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the only time I saw anybody have pizza. That was the only time that happened. But aside from that, I've never seen it. Like hamburgers? Wow.
Yeah, again, hamburgers would be tough because it's not like you're ordering that in because they'd be cold by the time they got there. And I mean,
it's weird.
What are you doing at like halftime, I guess?
I have no idea. They just said pizza and hamburgers on Twitter. I have no idea the context. I always want context, but sometimes I get it. Sometimes I don't. Excuse me, guys. All right, so let's jump in. Team reporting the camp. Matter of fact, before that, last week we had a little fun debate about DeAndre Hopkins going to the Titans, and we thought I think the Pats might could be a better fit for him for several reasons, and you and I laid out both of our reasons. I have no idea who won the debate, but we had fun anyways. But you had some numbers from Vegas, right? About the prediction.
Yeah. So,
What'd you have?
So both teams, their win-loss prediction is 7.5 from Vegas, and the line didn't move with D-Hop. So
it didn't move at all.
It didn't move at all. They didn't give them half a point, nothing. So both teams are still sitting at a 7.5. Games won this season. So Vegas is basically predicting them to be bad.
What did that say to you?
That neither team is good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but the adding of D-Hop didn't change anything.
Yeah, it just means that there's too many other problems on the team to have, like, it's one of those. The Rams were good. Then they added OBJ, and it moved their odds a little bit, right? Because they had enough other pieces that they needed that one last thing to really tie it together. And in this case, D-Hop is like putting a Band-Aid on a shipwreck. So, he's not gonna really keep any water from getting in. So it's a nice piece. I think that the Titans are probably a little bit better than that, but
I think they are too.
Yeah, I would take the over on it. But that being said, they're not going to be a juggernaut or anything. Like they're not a greatly constructed team. So
I asked a question that everybody in the whole world wants to know. So you don't think the same thing about the Pats either? They're not better than 7 wins?
No, I think that's about right.
17 games, not better than 7 wins?
7-8 wins. That's probably about right for them.
All right.
It's a rough division, man. They're not going to win a lot of division games.
That's not all they're playing, though, but they're playing other people too. But okay,
they do. But yeah, I mean, they're gonna get some wins. But yeah, it's gonna be a 7-8 win season, I would think.
Oh goodness, that sounds like a lot of fun. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into teams reporting the camp. What you got, man?
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see some good stuff out of the camps. You're getting some film of guys out there running. It's funny though, because some of the videos are just kind of they're kind of ridiculous. So one of them, you had JSN for the Seahawks. He made this great one-handed catch, and
he's a legend now, right?
Yeah, right. But the thing is if you actually look at the film, the safety's coming over the top. If that's in a game, he's visiting the tent because that guy's going to come and blow him up. So that wouldn't have been a catch in a game. But without pads on, without being able to hit, like, it looked cool on tape. It shows that he does have concentration to make that kind of catch. But if that catch would have happened in a game, he'd have got hurt. So there's that. And then, looking at Deuce Vaughn running through the line, I think he's 5'5", right? And he looks 5'5" coming through that line. Like, he is a small dude. But the Darren Sproles of the world. So, I mean, it's not that he can't do it at this level or anything.
I couldn't hear that name again. Wow. Okay. So who's the most intriguing situation at quarterback that you've seen in the camp? Stroud, Richardson, or Young?
So probably
highlights notwithstanding, of course. All you're gonna see is great things in that regard, but
of course, yeah. No, I think Richardson's arm strength is impressive, and then CJ's ability to kind of move around. He's a little more athletic than I gave him credit for. Doing some of his drills. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be cool to see what they can do. I think those guys are gonna be, unfortunately, shoved into the fire a little early. I think those guys would have benefited from being able to sit for a little bit, but they're gonna be, shoved out there and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a hot situation for them. I don't know how they're going to handle it. It's one thing without pass doing what you're doing, but it's a whole different situation in game situations. I don't know what's going to happen. So it's going to be very, very fun to watch. A couple of injuries I saw from within camp. Joe Burrow, the most notable one. Cash strain, I guess it out several weeks. I think it is.
Yep.
Jalen Ramsey out to December.
Yep.
What did you hear?
Yeah, those were the notable ones. The worst thing with Burrows is it was a non-contact injury. I mean, he's just quarterback, so it's always a non-contact injury. But, but yeah, and if you saw the video on it, he actually already had a compression sleeve on it. So for him to still pull it, it means he had some stuff going into practice anyway. So it doesn't say good things for, what Burrow is battling through, right?
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, we had our first poll question: what's the go-to snack regardless of your sports gathering? And our friends of the Herb and Raj podcast chose bourbon instead of actual food. Sometimes those guys surprise me. I have no idea why you would say something like that.
I mean, nothing wrong with it for sure.
I beg to differ, sir. We need food. We don't need bourbon to live. We need food to live. But okay, that's totally fine. But because some comments,
3 hours, I think you'll make it.
That's not this show, brother. Not on this one. But there's a couple of comments that came through. D-Hop wanted his career to die out and get his final payday. LOL. I'm laughing out loud too. Is his career to die out?
That's rough.
I don't. He's 31 years old. I'm thinking he thinks he has at least another 9-10 years in him. I would think.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't go. That's another reason why I don't understand the move. You're 31 years old. In the past 2 years, you had about 1,200 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many touchdowns there was, but about 1,200 yards total, which is not a lot for a main guy where you were. And then you come back after a little bit of a layoff, injury laden, of course. Mm-hmm. And then you want to go to a team that's going to help you elongate your career, right? But you pick the Titans. I'm still not understanding that. Even after our debate, I still don't really get that option. Like, why would you do that?
He just wants to be that number one target, and and he'll definitely be that guy.
Yeah, you know what you're gonna get? The number one shutdown guy on the other side. That's what you're gonna get.
It's true. D-Hop runs a nice route though, so like he'll get separation. Then at that point you have to rely on Tannehill to actually deliver the ball on time. So
that should have been the first question. Who's throwing me the ball in all these great scenarios that you're laying out for me right now, bro? Who's throwing me the ball?
It's not like Mac is a great other option either.
They're not. You going back to last week in the debate? That's not. I ain't trying to do that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there was other teams.
He had other options.
He did, but he wouldn't have been the number one guy.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of those other teams, he probably would have been their number two.
Who's the Jets' number one receiver?
Brown, right? AJ Brown.
Okay. There's way more options than even just that.
Yeah,
but I didn't want him. I didn't want him on our team.
Sure,
because we didn't need it into that. But I mean, he comes on the Giants. He's the number one receiver.
Yeah, he would have been for the Giants. Yeah, he would have been for the Giants.
There's no question.
Yeah,
and that's just one example. There's so many more. I mean, he ain't going to the Vikings, and I mean, I get that part. I mean, I ain't sure he can't go to the Niners. I'm not sure that Ayuk is the number one receiver out there. Not with him being there. I mean, there's so many options, man. Way more than just the Titans and the Pats.
Like he would, if he'd have went to the Niners, he definitely wouldn't have been the number one guy. And
I don't see why not.
Because at that point they have so many weapons that they really move the ball around a lot.
Who do you fear the most? You got to understand that he runs great routes. He's definitely a 50-50 ball guy. Could we seen that over the years? Who would be better than that? I don't know who that would be.
You would probably be a little more afraid of Debo at this point on that team because he also runs a nice route and he can also run you over. Something D-Hop doesn't really do anymore. So Debo could definitely be that guy. Obvious. I mean, they have a lot of people on that roster, so he wouldn't get the yardage that he's going to get as a true number one somewhere else.
I only name a couple, 2 or 3 teams. There's definitely more. Will he be the number one receiver? Guaranteed, it has to be, man. I mean, and the evidence of that is how many wide receivers went high in the draft. People need them.
No, I mean, you do always need them, but this is a case where he's going to go to the Titans. The rest of that receiver room, like I said last week.
I mean, do you want to win or what? That's my question. Do you want to win? That's my question. Because if you want to win, forget that number one. Forget that, because okay, say for instance he goes to the Hawks, right? that's probably a bad example. I probably should have said the Raiders, because the Hawks still got Lockett out there, right?
Yeah, they got DK, they got Lockett, they got JSN. Like they didn't need another guy.
Yeah, so bad example. How about the Raiders? Good example. Okay. Devontae's dead, obviously, right? So he's gonna get all the attention.
Yep.
How is that not a good thing for you? Coming off injury, 31 years old, your production hasn't been great the past couple of years. How is that not a good situation for you? That's great. Let them all get on the main shutdown guy get on Devontae and free you up. That's great. Do you want to win, or do you want to be number one receiver on a losing team?
Well, I think what he's trying to do is just be the number one receiver, regardless of how the team's going to do. I think he's trying to resurrect his career in the I'm still that number one threat, which you won't do if you're the second guy. So he's trying to not end up as that second, the second tier receiver yet. Ultimately, he's gonna become that, but he's trying to avoid that. He's trying to still be that number one guy.
That's not true, man. That sounds dumb.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like
that sounds dumb, man. I mean, for a 24-year-old, maybe, but dude, you're 31.
Exactly.
You've been through some stuff.
No, and that's why I say, I would like to see him take that Larry Fitzgerald arc where he moves to that slot receiver. And then he will end up having an extra 8 years on his career, because, he does run a really nice route, has a great catch radius. He's just not necessarily that turn and burn guy to get down the field anymore. And I mean, which is fine. Like over your career, you have to pivot to keep yourself on the field. So I'd like to see him move into that kind of slot receiver role, because obviously D-Hop is a good enough athlete at this point that he's going to beat a nickel corner and he's going to beat an outside linebacker. Like he's going to win those battles all day. So it would be better for his career longevity if he were to do that. But yeah, I mean, based on his actions, he's still trying to prove that he can be the number one threat.
Well, you know what? That's something that we're gonna have to see, because if we go on the pass alone, yeah, that's great, but that's not gonna work. Now we passed that now. We got injuries on record now. We need to see it, and that's not, like I said. We could take a whole episode talking about all the teams that he would fit on. Because the Titans in the past, that was fun, but we could have took a whole episode, literally almost a whole hour, talking about all the teams he'd been a better fit if you wanted to actually win. But
for sure,
what you're saying, that wasn't really the most primary thing in his mind.
Yep.
But the Urban Watch podcast dropping on again. Pats playing a very tough decision.
Yep,
it's gonna be a rough one, no doubt. 7 wins. I don't know. I think the guys got talent on the team, but again, whether he equates to 8 wins or not, that's not a gamble I'm willing to take. So I'll just stay right here on that one.
Yep.
The Bama fan of me required you say something good about Bryce Young, please. Go ahead, Bo. Say something nice about Bryce Young. Make my friends happy, please.
I hope he has success.
That was half-hearted.
He was definitely the most polished one coming into the draft. But, we're not going to know until it's game speed, right? Like, we don't know how any of these rookies are going to do. The downside about them is they're all going to get shoved out there week 1. And, if you look at the history of the NFL, there's not a lot of dudes that get shoved out there week 1 that have a ton of success. I think it'll be one of those, whether it's Young or Stroud, it's going to be kind of a situation where it builds throughout the year. I think it's probably going to be a little bit rough in the beginning. as they get used to NFL speed, actually get used to getting hit since they're not allowed to hit in practice anymore. So, I mean, there's going to be a kind of a steep learning curve. But of all the guys that came out, Bryce is probably the most primed to take that, Okay. The only downside is they're not great teams. So
just on top of your head, this is I'm throwing an extra wrinkle in here that we didn't talk about, but off the top of your head, those three guys that are named quarterbacks, Stroud, Young, and Richardson, who do you think has the most success this year? That's all I'm going to say. I ain't talking about their team winning. I'm talking about at their position, who do you think will have the most success? Do you think?
I think Stroud is actually probably going to have the better year overall. Richardson has a long way to go. Like, if you watched his college film,
I did.
He's not the most accurate guy, and where he's not accurate is troubling because it's your close range to the flats, outs, little dump passes, stuff like that. He tends to sail the ball, so he's kind of overpowering the ball a lot, which is why he's good down the field, right? Like he can push the ball down the field just fine. But the things that keep the chains moving, he seems to struggle with. So that'll be interesting to see if he can kind of elevate that area of his game rapidly, right? Because that's a big piece of the NFL. But the Texans had such a good draft. I think that I think from CJ, he's going to have some moments where you're like, that's impressive. And then you're going to have, oh yeah, he's rookie moments also. So it's going to be kind of a,
I got some really good friends that are Florida fans. I mean, they die hard. I would get texts from them, or I would text them to see how they're doing during the game. And they all hang themselves in the house. I'm like, oh my God, it's depressing. I mean, every week I would hear the same thing. So I know I would tune in. I'm like, oh, now I see why you guys getting up. This guy's the top pick.
Yep.
It's really strange. Okay, let's move on to the updates on the running back contract or / labor situation or whatever. What are you thinking about that, man? Anything beside their Zoom call?
We never even heard anything that came out of the Zoom call. I mean,
it's friends chatting, man.
Yeah, I'm right. So, but kudos to them. They kept it all in house, whatever they were talking about.
Mr. U's been under the weather for like 4 days. Normally, in my normal state, I don't suffer fools lightly. Normally. So just imagine how I feel right now. I ain't taking no crap from nobody today. Period. You better come correct with all your comments today. I'm not in an ornery mood. I'm just okay, whatever. Okay. I'll take that. Okay. Go ahead, Bo. I'm sorry.
I forgot where I was at.
With the Zoom call, not hearing anything come out of the
yeah. So on the running back front, yeah, it's so who knows exactly what came out of that, but I mean, it's really. A strike? Huh?
Do you see a strike happening like we talked about last week?
No.
You actually see a strike?
No, because the one guy that was,
that injury that comes on suddenly for all the running backs, that can't happen.
I don't think that's going to be the thing. If there was going to be something like that, it probably would have been started by Saquon, right? Because he was coming out saying I could sit this whole year, all of that, and then he, kind of reversed the thinking and signed the 1-year deal. So I think I don't think anything's going to come of it. I don't think anything's going to come of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great chance that we're going to talk about Saquon, but since we're already here, let's go ahead and just jump into that real quick. But I'm glad that he signed the 1-year deal, only because I want him to be out there because he needs to be.
Yes.
The team needs to be fully assembled. This is a very interesting team, and I won't spend too much time going into this. Maybe some other episode, but this is my team, so there's bias. It kind of baked into this already, but this is a really interesting team, man, because this is one of those teams where they don't have all of the names that you would expect to be part of a popular team. But these guys have talent, whether you think it's limited or not. These guys have talent in the areas where they work, where they operate. The wide receiving room is not the name. It's not the kind of room that matches up talent wise or name wise against so many other ones. If we had a ranking, they'd probably be in the bottom percentile, probably because of the time they've been in the league, how much they did the past 1 or 2 years they were even playing on the team. So but they got so much talent in there in regards to options, people who can make catches, plays after the catch or yards after the catch. Yeah, right. They have that there. It's not flashy. It's not wow. You know what I'm saying it's not that, but they have that. I'm really excited about the tight end room. I'm really excited about that. That could be one of the best units in the whole entire league. Seriously, you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So what Daniel Jones does is going to be the difference maker in this. But I'd say all that just to say that Saquon needs to be there because that kind of continuity, that comfortability, they need to have that. They have a great season last year, in my opinion. I knew they wasn't going to the big dance. I knew that already, but they had a great season. This is a follow-up from that, and they got most of the same personnel there, plus a few new ones like Darren Waller and then Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee. But they got a good thing going on. We need to have everybody on the same page. So I'm glad he signed the deal. What he does this year may allow him to have opportunity to have a bigger deal. Hopefully not get tagged again. Should be able to come to some kind of agreement. I don't know what's going to be, but what he does. But,
I was going to say, I think part of his new contract is he can't get tagged. Like I think there was verbiage in there to make it so he wasn't eligible to get tagged again.
I heard the opposite.
Oh, really?
Let's verify. Yeah, verify. No worries.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, let's do that. All right. So let's jump into real quick. Let's go ahead and jump into a couple of things. Let's put the Hall of Fame game on the back for a little bit. All right. So Dalvin Cook's new team. It sounds like it's going to be the Jets. What we're hearing. Do you care? Does this matter to you whatsoever?
I mean, not a ton. Obviously, that would be a nice pickup for the Jets.
What they have out there at running back already is just going to be, these guys are a contender to win the East now. They're going to beat Bills and the Dolphins, and they're going to the Super Bowl. Is that what's going to happen with Dalvin Cook?
It's tough to say, right? Because we're still in that position where we don't really get you don't really get to see anything from the teams on how well they're actually, kind of gelling together. So you're not really going to know any of that until week 1, because you're not going to see Rodgers in the preseason, right? He's going to play a quarter in the third game, and that's it. So you're really not going to know timing and stuff like that until you are ready to rock week 1.
Yeah.
So
we got some news from the
okay, you can't be tagged again. Okay.
I know. I read that. Yeah, I'm not. I'm kind of on the fence about the whole Dalvin Cook to the Jets thing. I know what that's supposed to do with Bryce Hall back there. I think Bryce Hall was injured last year, was he not?
Yeah, so, and he's actually going to start injured this year. So it makes sense for them to pick up a guy, because then you don't have to try and rush him back.
That makes sense. So they got 3 guys back. I forgot who the third guy is. Just his name is leaving me right now. But either way, but I'm not convinced that makes them. It makes them a better choice to contend for the East. But I'm not place. I'm like, you know what, this is going to be what's going to put them over. Yeah, I'm not feeling that, man. I mean, Dalvin Cook was putting in 1,000-yard season for the Vikings. You know what I'm saying? And they were in the playoffs, but it never really took them over the edge. I mean, nothing against running backs in general. They're valuable, but that's a wait and see. I don't have much to say about that.
Yeah.
Let's jump into the to Jonathan Taylor trade demands real quick, and then we'll come back to this question from our friends of the Herb and Watch podcast. All right, so let's go, Jonathan. I can't find a reason why. I looked for it as best as I could before I got sick, but couldn't see what was the reason for the trade demand. Besides the fact that the team sucks, I can't think of why it was that he decided to actually be traded. I saw it yesterday I think it was that Irsay said no to the trade demand, which is not surprising.
Yep.
Where he was taking everything, the draft capital that was used there and everything. But what are you thinking about this? I mean, because if he stays there, what are we looking at? Are we looking at a malcontent who could be potentially on a losing team? If you go by the projection that we're going to talk about later on in the show, that's what's going to happen. So,
yeah, I mean, that's probably the case.
Huh?
That's probably the case. You're just going to have an unhappy, an unhappy player on your team. Irsay was like, we're not trading him now. We're not trading him in October. But then he went on to say some dumb stuff too, where he's like, if I have a heart attack tomorrow and he's out of the league next week, nobody's going to remember us anyway. And it's like, the league will just continue on and whatever. And
hold on. Wait, hold on.
Oh, you didn't? That? Oh yeah.
Who said that?
So Irsay came out and said that.
This man has a history of saying dumb stuff, doesn't he?
He does. And
why does he keep talking?
I don't know. I feel like someone should take the mic away from him sometimes. But I mean, so in a way, he's not wrong, right? Like, it's a big company, the NFL, right? And so he's not entirely wrong that if neither one of those guys were in there, the machine keeps moving. So like, he's not wrong, but you still don't come out and say that stuff.
Besides Jerry Jones, I don't know who talks more than Jim Irsay. I don't understand.
Especially now, he didn't used to talk as much as he is. Like, he's entering that Jerry Jones, like, need to be in front of the camera all the time thing that doesn't make sense to me.
Here's what I don't understand about this. What does your talking accomplish? I mean, I'm not an expert, but I've been watching this product for nearly 50 years now. I'm old. Yeah. I mean, but come on now. Seriously.
It doesn't help anything.
What is the words you say out of your mouth? What does that actually accomplish? What does it help? Here's a scenario. Your team might be sub 6 wins this year, based on how things are looking right now.
Sure.
Right? You got a running back that is pretty darn good. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
You going to take him off to the point where he wants to have a trade, wants to be traded, and then you tell him no on top of that, and add more comments on top of that.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah. I mean, you're taking already low morale, and you're just like continuing to bury it.
Morale's important, but I'm talking about something else here. So you basically you're hampering his value if you decide you do want to trade him.
Sure.
Because now you got him talking back to you and not wanting to play, sitting out, maybe a phantom injury. It happens.
It does.
So what are you going to do with him? He don't want to play, and particularly when he does not play.
Yep.
Or he does play, and this is a mess.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I think we need to move forward. But there's a comment from Dre. JT better learn how to box and try to go pro and fight Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence. Both got paid $40 million for a fight. Dre. We are talking football, are we not? Okay.
Maybe takes that Lev Bell action and takes up some.
That
boxing.
Man wants to be a Super Bowl winning running back. He don't want to do no boxing. He want to win. You really think if he didn't want to win, he'd stay there and collect that money?
Yeah.
He has to be traded, which is very smart of him because the Colts are not going anywhere that I'm aware of.
Yep.
Look at this here. Okay. We're gonna move on to the Peyton and Salah, but I'm not 40. That's the whole point. I don't even look for it according to my real friends. They don't think I'm 40. They think I'm in my 30s. None of those things are true. Love you, Herb. All right, so Peyton and Salah, what you got on that, man? Because I'm only getting that in pieces. I don't know what's going on with that whole situation. So what do you think is going on there?
So
we got a question from the Herb and Raj podcast. I want us to answer.
This is more just dumb stuff. Like, I don't really know what Sean Payton is trying to accomplish. He's kind of going that Irsay route where he's just saying a lot of things that is going to have their games circled on everyone's calendar because he's just coming out saying a lot of dumb stuff. he came out and said that the team was coached horribly last year, and they're basically going to do everything the opposite of what they did. So taking a direct stab at Hackett, right? And then
direct stab,
to kind of throw some barbs at Saleh and the Jets also. And credit to Saleh though, because he basically was. He just came out and said, I don't know why you're talking about us. We don't see you till week 5 or 4, whatever. And then, goes on to say, if you don't have haters, you're not popping. So just keep the hate coming, basically. And it was just like, all right, well, I mean, good on you. Cause I mean, you could let it be a distraction if you want, but they're going to be up for that game for sure.
Have you ever seen Peyton do the commentating and the play-by-play? Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
It was okay. I wasn't a huge fan.
Heard me say I'm ornery again, but I'm not being ornery. I hated it because you listen to that stuff, especially leading to the game. You're ready. You got your snacks ready. You're ready to go.
Yep.
And you recline or whatever, and you listen to these guys talking about the game, whatnot. That stuff comes through. So be like, oh, it's kind of, what's that? That's Peyton.
Yep.
As soon as he got that job, everything out his mouth sounded like bile to me. Everything. I'm like, what is he saying? Why is he talking like that? I mean, dude, any success you had, as a coach, but you did have with the Saints, Drew Brees kind of helped out a little bit, I guess, right?
For sure.
You shouldn't be. He was talking like somebody who didn't understand what he was doing, like the way he was,
And he's also talking like he's won a bunch of Super Bowls, right?
Yeah,
like
Troy Aikman won more Super Bowls, right? Aikman won more, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he doesn't talk like that.
No, exactly.
Romo has to win anyway. Never mind. But Aikman won more than that, but he doesn't talk that way.
Yeah. Well,
I understand what I'm saying. Where the bravado was
does.
Like an arrogant ego type of thing. Where was that coming from? I mean, based on what exactly?
So Aikman and Buck will talk that way when the Seahawks are on. I don't know what it is, but they don't like the Seahawks.
You mentioned that, but I don't. I might listen to that more.
They're not on Monday night anymore, right? So where are Joe and Buck?
I don't know where they are.
Okay.
I don't know where they are now.
But yeah, no, it was always something that was funny over the years because it's just like, man, what is these guys' deal?
They were doing the 4 p.m. games.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They were doing out here. They were doing the 4 p.m. games pretty much the entire season.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
You know where Buck is good though? Is baseball.
No question.
Yeah, he is.
My guy D Rock says that he's horrible at play-by-play.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was seeing it on there, but yeah, where he's good. Like, I don't like him for football at all, but for baseball, dude is a wealth of knowledge.
We got a question from the Herb and Wild podcast. I think we need to address. I didn't want to leave it hanging. If you don't want to incur his wrath today, but the question is: do you think Saquon signing killed the running backs movement? Did he hurt their cause?
Yeah, probably. I don't know that it killed it, but it definitely slowed any momentum down because taking the deal sort of set the precedent for everybody else to just go ahead and take the 1-year deal and kick it down the road kind of thing. And I feel like you kind of have to though, because otherwise you are going to end up, potentially doing that Le'Veon Bell thing where you end up, out of the league, you go, for a year, then you go to a team that really isn't very good and your career kind of collapses. And so you have the potential to maybe make more, but you're going to lose that money immediately. And then there's nothing to say that you're going to be on another team. I mean, between the end of this season and the end of next season, 8 of the top 10 running backs all have contracts coming up. So it's, at this point, you kind of need to sign it if you want to stay in the league because there's going to be a lot of other options. There's, also some drafts coming up that you can get a running back there. So the last thing you want to do is put yourself on a shelf and potentially just push yourself out of the league altogether.
I'm struggling with the part where he hurt the cause because I mean,
well, I don't think
I get what they're talking about, but I don't know how he really did that part.
Well, I don't think he hurt the cause, but he slowed momentum, which is what I was kind of getting to. Is
did they have momentum?
Yeah, I mean, that's why you end up with a Zoom call and stuff, right? Because if you're trying to organize your guys to potentially do something, and then on the backside of that, one of the guys that is kind of a leading, corner of it, he signed like 2 days later or 3 days later, something like that. So either they decided that, hey, we're not going to be able to do anything because it's got the CBA anyway. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if you heard the calls, Herb and Raj. I think that what did happen is that he did what any running back should: take care of your own business.
Yep.
And he did that. Now he has a chance to garner a bigger contract with the Giants, hopefully, and not anywhere else. But he had to do that. Josh Jacobs, the longer that he stays out, the harder it's going to be to come back in, be in game shape, and be a contributor to the Raiders, who desperately need help at that area, especially with Jimmy G being out there. He ain't no runner, man. They need help. So I think he just did what was smart. I think he should have took the money that was given before, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. But I know the guaranteed issues with the guaranteed money. I get that. I'm not going to sit here like I'm a running back. I get it. All right. I think we can go ahead and move forward, man. What was we were going to talk about Michigan, but that's not happening now. Let's go ahead and jump to the graphic with the NFL predictions. USA Today, in all of their profound wisdom, put out NFL predictions for 2023. Due to some technical difficulties, I can't put it where it needs to be. So I'm going to cover our faces with the predictions, so you can't see it, but you can still hear us talk, okay? Just to be clear. This is a low-budget show, so it is what it is. But here's the predictions, right?
Yep.
Let me move my young friend's comment first. All right. So here's the predictions. I can't hold them up all day long, so here are the NFL record predictions. Some of the ones that are the most notable ones that I see that I was kind of surprised to see. The Steelers at 11-6.
Yep.
I was a bit surprised by that one.
There's no way that whole division has double-digit wins.
Yeah, but I didn't think that. I still don't. The Chargers being 7-10. I'm surprised by that one too.
I mean, it's the Chargers. I could see that.
I really don't. I think they're better than that.
Yeah, I think they're 9
and Mike Williams. They're actually better than that. I think. The Broncos are 10-7. All that changed that they have a new coach now. Nothing else has changed back there. So I'm like, wow.
Well, they did get some offensive line help. So they did help out that offensive line. So maybe they can keep Wilson off the ground.
Rams are 7-10.
That's
the
probably
Bears, all their additions are still 7-10. I think the Bears were 7-10 pretty last time, somewhere around that same place. But 7-10 there. The Lions are running away with the division, apparently. Saints are knotted up with the Falcons at 9-8. Had a friend on Twitter talk about watch out for the Falcons. Hopefully Byron can hear us today, man. But your prediction is 9-8 for your team, man. So hope that meshes. They got the Giants at 6-11. You know I ain't trying to hear that. But I'm gonna move on because I'm gonna go down that rabbit hole. But that's absolutely, positively one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my entire life. You think that after last year, we're gonna have a worse season? No. If we break even, that's one thing. We're not gonna have a worse season than last year. You kidding me? That's the dumbest thing I heard in this. The Commanders gonna be better than us? The Commanders?
Yeah, I can't buy off on that one for sure.
We gonna move on. I can't move this graphic fast enough for my case. You got to be kidding me. What? Even the Vikings prediction is dumb. The Vikings gonna be 7. Really?
So the Vikings are gonna be worse than they were last year.
Yeah, but not that much worse.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be like a 9-win team. Is probably about where they'll be. But But then, they also had KC as a 10-win team, and that doesn't seem realistic either. I feel like they're probably like a 12-win team. So, yeah, I don't know. The numbers were a little weird, to say the least.
If I can find 7 that I don't agree with, then the whole ranking is out. I found 7 to 8. I found like 9 of them. Like, really?
Oh yeah.
The Chargers, the Vikings, the Giants. That's not right.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to happen at all. All right. Our guy D-Rock talking about the Barkley's injury prone. Man, no, he's not. Running backs get hit. They get hurt. They get hit in the legs. This happens. Yep. This injury prone. Dalvin Cook. That's a different scenario.
Well, I mean, Saquon's been hurt, but
injury prone. That's Anthony Davis territory right there.
Yes. Yeah.
Lakers,
always.
All you guys who are not so inclined. Anthony Davis is injury prone.
Yeah.
You blow on him and he down.
Yep.
That's not the same as Barkley. D-Rock, your comment is denied. All right, that's a lot better now. The G-Man got at least 10-win record. I hope it's better than that, but yeah, he should at least be that.
Yeah,
we bring in just by the fact that Waller's there, a healthy Waller.
Yep,
doesn't get us more wins than we had last year.
Now that was a nice get for sure.
Come on. I mean, even all the hate, like that's a whole different topic about that I get from Daniel Jones about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's the worst quarterback in the world. I'm like, is he really? Out here killing him on Twitter. It's
even a bad quarterback can hit a tight end.
I know, man, but he does more than just. I mean, his first year or so, almost like Eli, as a matter of fact, to be really transparent, he had an issue with decision making, especially down the field and stuff. The man, it was fixed. The problem was he didn't get no credit for it. It was fixed. Daniel Jones was more accurate last year than in his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
He was more accurate. He's a threat to run with the ball. I mean, he does the thing that you want him to do, but people still hating on him. I don't understand. So 10 wins is good. I think it could be better than that. I'm not saying 13. I'm not even saying 12. I'm saying 11 wins is more than reasonable.
Okay.
All right, D-Rock, we sleeping on Indy? Tell us why we sleeping on Indy. Drop it in the comments. Tell me why they're so good. This is not the reason why, okay? tell me another reason why they're so good. It's not this.
It's definitely not that.
Comment? Yeah. It's not that. Okay. Tell me another reason why Indy shouldn't be slept on. And why they shouldn't be, what the predictions say? They're going to be 4-13. Tell me why they're not going to be that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be that bad, but they're not going to be good.
I'm just asking a question that everybody wants to know. Why did that happen? All right, man, let's go ahead and jump into our marquee for the day. Of course, we got poll questions out there. What's your go-to snack? Hands down, ultimate snack, regardless of your sports gathering. And also ask another question when we started our show. What's going to take your favorite team to the promised land? What's going to be the one thing that's going to be a difference maker between where you were last year and where you're going to be this year? What's going to take your team to the promised land to get you to whatever it is you're looking for? A division win, not a division win, a conference win, or Super Bowl, perhaps. I mean, or something in between. What's going to get your team there? So those are our poll questions out there. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All right. We were asked last week about one of our listeners asked about the top 10 quarterback list for us. Mm-hmm. We had to work with that a little bit. Mm-hmm. But we're here now. And I have mine. Boy, you got yours, right?
Of course.
Top 10 quarterbacks. All right. Now, whenever you see a list like this, there's two questions you got to ask yourself. Are they asking about what happened last year, kind of like a power ranking, or what do you predict is going to happen in this year? Mm-hmm. My top 10 list is what I predict is going to happen in 2023. My prediction, not from last year, but I think is going to happen this year based on what they have. Okay?
Yep.
How you want to do this, man? We'll start with number one.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Who you got for number one?
I got Mahomes.
Same here. Super Bowl champion. Returning. Most of the staff is returning, which is good. nearly 9 yards per pass attempt, which is tops, I think, in the league. Doesn't shy away from the big spots.
Yep.
This is he's the standard bearer for the quarterback position. Am I wrong with anything? Tell me
no. No, I mean that's the easiest pick on the list.
Copy that. All right. So number 2.
Yep. Who you got?
I got Burrow.
Me too.
This happened before the injury.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Accuracy is very, very good. Incompletions are going down every year, which is a good thing to happen in your situation. Precision pocket passer. He had average line protection the past couple of years. I hope it's better now. I don't even know where they are, but he does so much with so little.
Yep.
In that regard. So who you got?
No, that's what I had too. I had Burrow. He might have some stats drop a little bit this year just because their defense got worse. But beyond that, I still think he's the number 2. The number 2 pick on this list for me is still Burrow. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So questions still coming in from comments. Matt Ryan is already, I think, in a commentator booth somewhere. He ain't helping Richardson anymore.
He's in the film room. That's how he's helping.
He's gone, man. He's gone. Let it go, man. He's gone. All right. Number 3. I struggled in this one. I had to change some stuff and edit. I had Josh Allen here.
Okay.
Accuracy, very good. Much better than when he first started in the league. Threat with the ball in his hands as a runner. I like that. Really been deadly in big spots. He invites contact more than he should do. Yep. That's a problem that I think over time it's going to catch up with him.
Yep.
I think he also been known for kind of trusting his arm more than making the right play, so to speak. Excuse me. Who do you have for number 3, man?
So number 3, I had Jalen Hurts. He really elevated his passing game last year. Obviously, super dynamic as a runner. Made a lot better decisions last year than he did before. So like his career arc makes it look like he should be able to really duplicate what it is he did last year. So that I had Hurts there. And then I had Allen in 4. So
we had a swap. I had Hurts at 4. Good winning quarterback.
Well, and the only reason I put Allen there is because he sort of had an element of regression last year. He, his accuracy dropped off a little bit. So there were some things where his numbers kind of took a dip. So that's why he ended up in 4 instead of 3 for me.
Yeah, I think I've seen that in some of the games too. I just wasn't. I don't know. I think Hurts was. He gets a lot of credit because he went to the Super Bowl, which is definitely well deserved.
Yep. So this is where the list starts to interesting.
As a downfield passer, it's like he's growing. I don't know. I think pocket passers have a longer. I think I'm pretty right on this one. Pocket passers have a longer career history.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And I just don't see that he is doing that as much. They're not asking him to do that. It's I hate to speak bad omens over somebody, because that's not really what I'm trying to do here, but like it's kind of only a matter of time. If you keep running, that's the main thing that you do. If you run more, because you see opening and it doesn't behoove you to pass it, you run. It's only a matter of time before you get that hit. The one that changes everything.
Absolutely.
And it's like when people get mad, like, you hit my quarterback. Yeah, he ran. He was a runner.
Exactly. He's a runner now.
It's kind of hard to not tackle the person. He's running with the ball in his hand.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I just got a gut feeling. I put him at 4. Who do you have at 5? I had Herbert.
So I got Lamar. I got Lamar at 5.
Wow.
So before getting hurt last year, his accuracy numbers really came up. He started throwing more from the pocket. Still, again, a dynamic runner, can make you miss, can create a lot of problems for a defense. So I think he has a kind of a bounce back year. He's got some nice targets around him, which is going to help his yardage totals as well. So I think he's going to be in position to kind of have a big season this year.
I'm not. I had him at 9.
Okay.
And the only reason why I had him down there is just he was injured 2 straight years.
Yep.
The downfield passing and the decision making overall, it's been a challenge for him. Put it like that.
Sure.
He got a new OC now.
Yep.
And I forgot the guy's name. I'm blanking out his name, but it's a more conservative offensive system. Yep. So, and I think it's a good idea because it could likely extend his career. Mm-hmm. He got a new contract. I think was it 4 or 5 years?
5-year
new contract. So putting in a new system that's conservative ain't gonna be what the fans may want to see, but it could be the best thing for him because he needs to be more consistent as our pocket passer. Yeah, you can be a threat with the ball when the situation comes up, but it can't be your go-to. You can't be trying to Michael Vick it all the time. You got to be able to, stay in the pocket because the pocket is your protection, basically, to avoid getting those hits that you need to be getting. So I had him low because until I see that happen, even though it's a new system, it's conservative supposedly, and new wide receivers to get used to. I mean, I kind of felt like, you know what, he's in the top 10, but I couldn't take him high until we knew what it looked like. So I'm gonna stick with him at 9. I ain't gonna change that.
Oh yeah,
I had Herbert at 5. Kellen Moore coming in as the new OC. Based on what I saw with Dak, I kind of felt like, okay, he's going to be doing a lot more a lot more conservative in the pass plays. If that makes sense. So he's going to be making more of the right throws, I guess you could say. And with the talent they got over there, I think that's my justification for doing it. He's been always has high passing numbers, 5,000 yards and stuff, or high 4s, fairly accurate. I kept him there. So, all right, number 6. What do we have?
So I got Trevor Lawrence at 6.
Shocked me again, but okay.
Yeah. So this is another one. Again, we're not basing this off of last year, right? We're predicting where they think they're going to go. I think Trevor Lawrence should have a step forward. He has a team around him that can win. So I think that's, I think for his career to continue the arc that it's on, because I don't really count his first year in the league because that team was such a dumpster fire. I mean, there couldn't have been more wrong with that team. So I didn't really credit him having, the year that he had. I didn't really feel like that was his fault. And then last year he had a pretty solid outing, inconsistent, right? But, there was glimpses of what he could become. And so I think he takes that step forward. And so that's how he ends up at 6 on mine.
Okay. I had Lawrence at 7. Great arm, great pocket awareness. He got loads of weapons now. I mean, I like him. I like the fact that Peterson went to that team. I thought that was going to be good for him. Yep. Seems to be going that way so far. I didn't see him as top 5, so I was trying to find a place to place him. I had Rodgers at 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I know he's 40 years old. We talked about it last week. 40 plus years old. Won the last stand at a Super Bowl with the Jets. Rough years before that, but he's still smart. Yep. He understands in-game situations better than most do. And I mean, you give him talent, man. I mean, he had talent in Green Bay too, but if you give him talent like what he has here, potentially, he should bounce back a little bit. So I just took a shot on that one. So I didn't know if he should be Rodgers should be 6 or 7. I put him at 6. So here we go. All right. So
and I have him.
Who you have at 7 then?
I have Rodgers at 7.
All right.
Yeah. So and I mean, he's definitely going to have a bounce back year because we're seeing, he showed up to OTAs, which is something he hasn't done in a long time. He's working with the rookie.
Yeah, has he ever?
I mean, earlier in his career, yeah, but like the last few years, not so much. But he, he's got a little bit of that chip on the shoulder, right? Which is how he plays his best. And so that's, I don't know. I think that 7 is probably pretty good. 6 works too. I mean, because he's still really smart. I mean, he is a 4-time MVP. So until you see the gameplay really fall off a cliff, he's got to be in your top 10 somewhere anyway. But definitely. He has such a good team around him at this point that it's hard to imagine him not having success there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's NFL party, baby. Let's go. All right, so 8 and 10 are what we got left with, man. So who do you have at 8? Go ahead and shock me again.
I got Herbert. I got Herbert at 8.
Okay.
I mean, the Chargers shouldn't be as bad as they're playing. And I don't credit Herbert with that. Like, there's just been a lot of bad decision making. I think if the Chargers end up where that graphic showed them, I think it was 7 and 10, right? If that's the case, then their coach is gone.
Oh, no question.
So
I'm missing somebody you had. Okay.
But yeah, Herbert should have a good year, even if it doesn't necessarily always end up in the win column. You know, I look at him right now the way I used to look at Cousins. He's going to put up some numbers. They're just not going to win a lot of games.
Okay. I hope they're better than 7 and 10. I just
yeah.
And anybody that talks to me deeply about the NFL for any matter of time, they know that, you know, the Giants is my team. Can't be replaced. Grew up in blue.
Yep.
I had a second team. If I was able to choose one, excuse me, it'd be the Chargers. Okay. Now, I have no idea why that is. When I watch them on TV, I'm just in a trance watching them. I don't know what it is. When they had Rivers and Gates, I was in love watching them play. I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm like, why do I like them? I don't know anybody out there. No favorite player, not LT or Rivers or Gates. I just love the team. So it's kind of my quiet second team. It'll be better than 7 and 10. Got to be. Yeah, I'm missing something in your top 10, but we'll square it up at the end here. But for 8, I had Watson.
Okay.
Kind of uncertain.
Yep.
You know, the drop off was really, really bad. But he was productive 4 of 5 years, which is a good thing. It's a distractions without certain to show up again anyway, probably. If they don't get in the way, I mean, he has elite talent around him. So that prediction that USA Today had about them being 10 and 7, that could be so. That's possible.
Yeah. No, it's definitely possible.
They got to come over here from D-Rock again. No way the AFC North goes all goes 10 wins.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't see that happening either. I don't know what it is, but I know it's not going to be that. All right, so number 10, who'd you have?
Well, so at 9, I had Tua.
Wow.
Yeah. So I put Tua in there. So I'm basing this on he can stay on the field, right? And that's I mean, it's tough for him. It's tough for me to think he's not going to have a 4,000 plus yard season with the amount of speed that's around him.
Yeah. I mean, what did he have last year when he had Hill and Waddle?
I mean, he was off to a good start. I don't know what he ended up with offhand, but I mean, they were putting up yards. Like, again, he may not have the best power, but he is incredibly accurate. And those guys, because of the speed, they get a lot of yak yardage there. So, which helps your numbers, right?
So you had Tua at 9. Yep. Who'd you have at 10?
So this one I really struggled with because there's so I threw Wilson in there.
Wow. Seriously? Yeah. Man, you blow my mind today, man.
Yeah, so I threw Russ in there because he's definitely going to have a bounce back. There's no way he's going to be as bad as he was last year. I think that just getting the beat down all season is probably a humbling. So I don't know that they're a 10-win team either, but I was thinking probably like a 9-win team. But I don't think Russ is as bad as he looked last year. Like, there was a bunch of coaching issues. There was a bunch of decision-making issues. His line was hurt, so he kept getting hit. I think a lot of those things will get remedied this year. I don't think he's going to be prime Russ by any means, but, you know, I wasn't really sure. Basically, I had Wilson, Watson, Cousins, kind of all in that potential 10th spot. But Wilson isn't as far removed from good football play as like a Watson is, right?
Yeah.
And Cousins is Cousins, so I just have a hard time believing in him. Like if it's a morning game, he's a stat monster. If it's an afternoon game, it drops off a little bit. If it's prime time, he doesn't get out of the car. So I don't really know.
Oh boy.
So I just don't feel confident, giving him that 10th spot. But all those guys were right there for that 10th spot.
Yeah, I struggled with the 10th spot too. I had a tie there, which is I didn't want to do that, so I guess I feel obliged to try to pick one on it. But I had Cousins and Prescott.
Okay. Yep.
I mean, for the most part, Cousins, if you want to give him a compliment, you can say that he's steady.
He is. He's super consistent.
Not overwhelming you. He's not going to dazzle you with arm talent, but you can trust him in most spots. You highlighted some of the spots you can trust him in.
And he's going to give you 4,000 yards every year.
I mean, I feel like the more talent they have, the better the team goes, because he's consistent. He's not the X factor in any scenario. So you got to put people around him that are that. I think that helps out. And Prescott, he always has high-powered offenses. The fact that Kellen Moore's going to the Chargers now, it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But of course, Prescott was marred by turnovers.
Yep.
Reliable, I guess, to a degree until you get to crunch time. Cowboys fans don't really want to hear that, but at crunch time, it kind of is Romo-esque.
It's very similar.
Maybe not the same, but so both of them are not great. I guess they're very good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to pick between the two of them. I'm going to try to, because we're going to close the show out, and I feel like I'm sitting here dangling on a live wire trying to just figure out how to pick one. Because you gave me you gave me 10 players, top 10. I'm giving you 11. I don't feel right about that.
Yep. It just means the other one's honorable mention, right?
Yeah. I don't know who the Vikings even added to help JJ on the other side. I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Prescott at 10. I don't believe I'm even saying that out of my mouth. Nobody's holding me hostage. I'm not actually saying it of my own accord.
Yeah.
Prescott's at 10, and Cousins is gonna drop down to 11.
Yeah.
I think they're giving Dak enough weapons, and they always do. Give him enough weapons to work with.
Yep.
What happens with that from the quarterback position is a different story. You will see that when it comes along, but I'm gonna stick with 10.
Yeah. Right.
Well, brother, that's our show.
Yeah.
Great job as usual, Bo, man. Appreciate you so much. Tell everybody where they can find your work, man.
So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Football Talk with Bo, and of course on here on YouTube at Football-Talk.
Tell them about Hawk Talk too, man.
Yeah, so Hawk Talk, that that's every Friday morning. Talk about all things Seahawks. Got a really full show lineup coming, really starting next month. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited to have football back.
Absolutely, same here. I can't wait, man. Football kind of will be. We kind of in February we just died. We're like, oh, it's leaving us, and we just long for it for 6 months or whatever, and now it's back. So I'm so excited. 27 days until college football, 38 days until the NFL season kicks off. We are so excited. Wherever you are today and however you're hearing our show, thank you again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week with your weekly mirror check before you change the world. Thanks again for joining us. Bo, say goodbye.
Have a good week, everybody.
Bless you, everybody.